Immigration Digital Story Project, this is your final culminating project that you're going to be doing for this semester. This is what is going to be shown at exhibition night.
Teaching history is so complicated because I think it's become this sort of like, this is what happens in the past and it's in a book and it's just not really real to anybody. What would make it more real for them? And how can we get kids really invested in this project? And just looking at the demographics of our school, because so many of our students come from immigrant backgrounds, they are immigrants themselves or their families, had migrated to this country. I think we just found a natural fit with it, but then letting them know, we are going to have you guys really interview somebody in your family to make it a lot more authentic, and I think students got a lot more excited about that. So I think having this sort of modern day connection was really important to them.
First impression I had was like, whoa, we had to do about immigration. I'm an immigrant, so I was really impacted by it because, letting other people know your story and letting know what happened to you and how did you get here.
So they knew the end result was a big part of the writing process, and that drove them a lot. That drove them to constantly revise. That type of writing and revising and thinking, I haven't seen it occur with their writing in the past without this end result.
We're looking at students that, struggle with writing incredibly, struggle with, any sort of formal writing especially. It was very much student initiative instead of me saying, you need to revise this, you need to revise this.
So many students mention this all the time. Well, we write an essay, the teacher reads it, maybe they might share it to their group members or a partner. That's about it. And okay, their purpose is they're going to write it to get a grade a lot of times. And maybe some students might actually think back and say, I really want to improve my writing, but for the most part, most students are just doing it just to get it done.
Writing the script was different because we had to separate between what was my partner going to say and what was I going to say and things like that. What line was he going to say, the feeling that we had to put to that line, and that how was the line supposed to go, and what was like the tone of voice that you had to have in that line.
If they start talking to the family something interesting, you ask them, you say, even though it's not on your list of questions, say like, oh, can you tell me more about that? What was life like, What was it like growing up in that neighborhood, or what was it like in your hometown? Ask them these follow-up questions. That's what you're going to get the good stuff. If they say something that seems to draw some emotion out of them, that's even better, because you want the personal stories.
Most of them selected a family member or a community member that they were close to. They interviewed them. They took the 4 to 5 page transcript, and from that information they had to synthesize. How do you select the most important pieces that you want to share with the audience, and how to write succinctly but powerfully.
After the interview, we came back and we had to kind of analyze it, together with me and my partner, and figure out what we're going to put in our digital story.
Where are they making the emphasis? How do they make it exciting? How do they make it eerie, creepy, whatever, the mood that they were trying to set within the context of that piece. I think in any sort of writing, you want to always be conscious of audience, and I think that often doesn't get taught to students, because students, are just writing things because only their teacher's going to read it.
It's a human being who we're doing the story about, so we put all the effort and all the time we can to the story because we were making it for somebody who had sacrificed for my friend, and so he could have a better life here.
Right, this is somebody's story.
I thought what I wrote on my grandpa was the best stuff I ever wrote. It was real, how I felt.
The way I got my papers is crazy, but I'm glad I was blessed with the opportunity. One day I was working at the company Better Made Foods. The immigration came across the street to the youth pack, where there are a lot of Mexicans working out. They were all my friends. Then I saw them coming towards my job, so I went to hide.
It really meant a lot to me.
Way in the back.
And when I read it back to my grandpa, he said that it was perfect.
A big part of the project is that they work with a partnership. We wanted them to feel comfortable with a partner that they felt like they could work with, probably a friend that they chose.
The most difficult part was working together with my partner. personally, me and him did not get along, you know. So I think me and him grew from this project together. We matured together to get to that point that we now like are friends or whatever.
There's all these frustrating moments that students have to deal with, like they can't get an interview, or they can't, you know, they try to interview this person, but they didn't answer questions the way that they wanted, or, you know, they have to deal with other humans.
When you're working in a group, you need to also take in consideration your team member's opinion. Sometimes your group might, you know, have a little argument, and you have to, you know, sit down, relax, think about it, and continue.
There's so much freedom in what students can kind of do with it, which is great, I think, about project-based learning, because it does allow individual talents to kind of shine. And even if you are not the best at technology, you still could have a very good voiceover, or you had a good narrative. 70–80% of our students pretty much, you know how to do video editing, and, you know, can work on the computers and do all these really interesting things that I think are going to elevate their senior projects or other projects that they're doing in classes and what they'll be doing in college.
Presenting project was like, I felt proud because, I mean, seeing my own work, how it finished, it was all good, you know. It was good for everybody, you know. It was like, even we almost made his dad cry when he saw the video, so.
To see people understanding and like they know where my mom came from and on her story, it just shows how much a 3-minute video can influence somebody's life.
It was such an empowering project for the students to do. I mean, you're talking about family members that had, you know, shedding tears during their performances, and students that were really touched and moved by the fact that they were able to present something powerful about this individual.
I wanted to give my audience a feeling that anybody can make it, even if it's a person that has nothing. At the end, most people in life, they like persevere from all the struggles that they've been through, and that my audience can do the same thing.